Good afternoon, everyone. Today
Good
we are
afternoon, ma'am.
Good
going to
afternoon.
have our last class,
Ma'am.
and compared to other days, we have more people on time on this class. So what I'm planning to do is that I'll first read out what were introductory part of our course curricula, and then we will reflect on as to what extent we have achieved any of those objectives and the learning outcomes. So the start with saying, this course aims at questioning the understanding that law is universal, protects everybody equally, and is accessible to all equally. It uses gender, particularly in relation to women and persons with non-heterosexuality, as examples to show discrimination perpetuated by law and legal processes. It has long been recognized that lawyers, and judges are insensitive and unaware of the problems and perspectives of women, resulting in grave injustice to them in various ways. Orientation and in-service refresher training programs for lawyers and judges on these aspects have been suggested by all concerned, and indeed such training programs are being organized too. Law schools in this scenario have the important obligation to generate awareness of the gender bias operating in society and legal system in India. This course aims to focus on discrimination on the ground of sex and non-heterosexuality in the extant law and judicial decisions. It also explores the jurisprudential explanations for the existing state of affairs. It focuses on the patriarchal nature of state and family and contemporary feminist and queer debates. It is expected that the students will acquire analytical skills and knowledge to critically analyze functioning of legal provisions and judicial responses from the perspectives of the deprived and powerless groups in society as an outcome of this course. These skills are important not only from the perspective of municipal laws, but also in the context of discrimination between the first and third world countries and international law. This is what we had set out to do. And today we want to reflect on to what extent we, as the recipient of this course, think that we have achieved, we as the one who are providing the course, have succeeded in achieving these objectives. And what I want you to reflect on is, in the light of the statement of object and the learning outcome, I want you to identify for yourself as to what is it that you think was an important learning for you in this course. Some of you might have what we call as the aha moment. Oh, I didn't know this. I had not thought about it before. And some of you may not be in that state. You might think, okay, this is also a new perspective. Nothing very great about it, but it certainly was something new. So I want all of us to go one by one, each one of us, and identify for yourself as to what has been your most important learning or a couple of learnings. So is that okay?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
So who wants to
Yes,
start?
ma'am.
Should I call out the names in the sequence they appear on my screen?
yeah, okay.
So on my screen, Himanshu Yadav comes first.
Yes, ma'am. I have learned a lot more about, especially the broader perspective regarding the gender neutrality. Actually, somewhere I had this interest to study about this gender studies, but during college time I was not having that broader sense of understanding these things. But since I came to this course, I got to know things more clear and more broader perspective, like the thing which I used to had in my mind initially, their existence of there is some difference between a man and a woman, but I found later on I found except the reproductive organs or the childbearing capacity between a man and a woman, there is no as such huge difference between both these persons as a creature, because everyone, even boy or girl, they both are having the same emotions, same capabilities. It's all about how they have been nurtured actually. This is a main difference which I have observed since came into this course. So this is my experience, and I found it very much interesting, and I think somewhere it will be helpful for me in future. So this is all from my side.
Okay, thank you. Second one is also Himanshu.
Ma'am, I agree with Himanshu what he said, and actually what I believe and what I learned from this subject is same as Himanshu said. But ma'am, first of all, before I was not having this subject as my main subject and was not studying gender justice and feminist jurisprudence, so I thought that there's only one difference, and yeah, it was in my mind that females were strong, but they were mainly for domestic work and all that. But after learning this subject, I believe that this subject has changed women's status through a rework of law. And ma'am, it has changed its approach to gender, what I think and what I used to thought earlier.
Can you give any
And
example, specific example?
ma'am, like there are many examples and certain in which the law played, uh, ma'am, the status which I used to thought earlier, what women believed, and the community which I came from, where I was, it was a male dominant community. And but after studying this subject and learning things about what women have achieved through their hard workships, and one of the example which you gave us in our class was that in a construction building, all the labor work is done by women, but still their wages are less than the mistri who used to place the bricks and all that.
Okay, thank you. Prakriti?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so I just wanted to say something. Also, I wanted to thank you for letting us attend your classes since you are from LC2. Ma'am, I always wanted to attend your classes and we could never do it. And I feel that even in these unfortunate times, these times have proved to be beneficial because I could attend your classes. I did two topics with you. One is the reproductive rights, and the other is domestic violence. I don't have much to say, but all I can say is that it has left me with a lot to reflect upon and a lot to understand. That's about it.
Okay. Gajendra Kumar?
Ma'am, mainly thought understanding about that what is the thinking of the society कैसे thinking करता है एक gender के basis पे और उसका discrimination और उसके basis पे discrimination and उसके work capacity different, culture different, and society is also different according to their the biological differences.
Okay. Kushal?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I just wanted to say I just don't want to point out something particular I would like to point, but every lecture was some way or the other was an experience where I sometimes agreed and sometimes disagreed. Also, ma'am, living in a patriarchal world, I guess no one has been spared from that point of view, consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously. We embody few ideas that are continuum of our patriarchy. So, ma'am, not only from this course, not only from a course point of view, but the way you have taught, it will help me in future. So I'm really thankful and thankful to you for allowing me to come and attend your lectures. And also, ma'am, those experimental learning and self introspection, I found the best.
Mobile?
So, thank you.
Ma'am, I learned the most of the all the third gender discussions that we had about females. I know a lot about females because from my own personal experiences, and even men, because men are not speaking about men or males is not a taboo, while the third gender somehow is. So the class that we had when Ray came on, and there were a lot of gray areas which were made clear that day, and I learned a lot of all the third gender classes that we had. And also a lot of times I've read the cases, and I made up my mind on what the right side in this case is. But then you came on explaining or discussing that case with us, and that kind of opened up my third eye towards a perspective that I hadn't seen. So in a lot of cases I've agreed that maybe I'm with the woman's side, and I think she is this is what the truth is. But then you said that this thing hasn't been paid attention to, or did the judge think this way? So I think in that way I have really, I mean, it's really important for anyone who's studying law to be looking at it from, the left, the right, the center, and beyond. So I really learned that from your classes.
Can you identify any one particular case?
Ma'am, Batra versus Batra.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular case, I mean, I kind of took the mother-in-law's side, because I mean, if the property is in her name, and if your children after a certain point of time get out of hand, and they are sort of misbehaving with you, or they're not lending a helping hand in the house. So I've always believed that the parents should have this, the property power should go on this way, that they should, they should have the power to send these kids out. I mean, they shouldn't, you shouldn't be forced to let your kids stay with you. But then, so I really thought that the woman who put out all these cases was sort of just like pitching different aspects to it, because she wants to stay in this particular house, and she's, wrongly accusing them. But then really, I mean, when we discussed that case, that was sort of like it was enlightening. I'll never forget the Batra versus Batra case, and I really learned that you have to shed the perspective that you hold, even if it's pro women, or even if it's a equality perspective. But you really have to look closely at each and every angle of it, and then come about with your decision or your views on it.
Shavi?
I have plenty of things to mention, and even thank you for earlier, like when I used to read the judgments. So I may like in certain kinds. So I had just had a side. So Mumil mentioned the Batra case. So even when I read, so I was like, okay, if the mother-in-law has the house, then why she should claim? But it made me realize that I forget, like I did not read the law, and which mentioned that it includes, and what the judge he interpreted in a kind of way which it means. So there's I think now when I read cases, so I just don't do a basic plain reading of the case. I look at better dimensions and a broader purview in the so I read cases in that way. And in the initial classes, I remember you asked us to draw the images of a farmer, a lawyer, and stuff like that. And in the initial lectures only, so I questioned myself when I was like after the class, that I had such a particular gendered roles, that a farmer has to be a male only, but not realizing that like plenty of women work in the fields, but we still have the image of farmer as a male only. So starting with that, and then I didn't when we had a discussion of the transgenders and the third gender, to be specific, so I was kind of okay with the fact that if our parents love their child so much, so there are often surgeries which confirm that as a male, because they don't have a specific genitalia. So the parents they basically go that the children undergo surgeries. But then I think you had the discussion, and it made me realize that even if a surgery has been performed and now the child don't want to be a male, so he doesn't feel he's suffocated in that male body, and he wants to explore the female side. So what will happen to that? So I think that question, I'd never realized that I never thought of it in that way, but it made me think in that way also. then when we were discussing about thappad, so I also on the very instant said that no, I will, when you mentioned that you are the judge and now you decide. So I also said that she didn't want to live in that matrimonial relationship and it was a physical violence. But I think it, in a broader purview, the judge has to, obviously that was unfair and it was not at all correct, but the judge has to look at various levels. Obviously he cannot go emotional and just say that if the woman is not wanting, because if the person is granted divorce, so there are various other factors. For example, is she educated or not, will be the maintenance sufficient and all, so stuff like that. And two more things to mention when we were reading the Muthamma judgment. So when you made us to read the judgment, so basically, and you emphasize that it's very important for an advocate to read properly and with the proper pauses. So I think that was very effective. And the last, the Air India case. I never thought when you asked us to read the case, and so I realized that the patriarchy has been so inbuilt, and the laws itself, they have been so discriminatory to that instant that when a woman gets married, she won't be able to carry on with the job, and we say that there's no restriction on marriage, but a female has to lose a job because she gets married. So I think that has changed a lot, and I've learned a lot in the lectures. And I would like to thank you so much for that.
Shani Kumar. Shani.
Hello.
Haji.
Yeah. I joined when there was a discussion on Chapak movie came, and in the recently this Thappad, from Chapak to Thappad. So I will say the incident that was this acid attack victims. From my perspective, that the culprit was only he has to be given toughest kind of punishment. But from the class, I learned no, only that culprit is not the only culprit. In fact, the whole society is making the girl who has been attacked to suffer. And law is also not taking care, no proper rehabilitation kind of thing. And next, which was enlightening for me, the feminist jurisprudence, especially difference principle. I was knowing about what liberal perspective, what socialist perspective, but difference principle, that equalizing or removing the cause of all the things, that is what the difference principle, and then all the people can live together in harmony in the society. So family jurisprudence, the whole evolution, the fault in the Victorian morality, and the insensitiveness of the laws, which was made from the perspective of patriarchy towards the women. All laws like the rape laws, or even any laws which was made somehow has catering the perspective of patriarchy. So that was really enlightening, because I always thought law is made, means it is kind of giving a justice. So justice supposed to be universal, and from my perspective, so far there was no discussion that I was thinking that there is a abuse of law and that should be truncated, and like 498, a lot of. But from this class, I learned to see the bigger picture, the societal perspective, the historical perspective of any law, and what I wanted, means what we wanted in future. So law has to take. It's supposed not to be one or some few cases of abuse of law. It should not mean that it is actually delivering the justice, or it has to be stricter, or has to be inclusive toward the 50% of our population. And I also learned even most of the learned judges cannot go beyond and create break, like suppose even Nalsa has very progressive, but somehow you have shown that it is still not able to cater or go beyond a certain extent. And we have seen also in Batra recently that how this Justice Katju was not able to read what is even in the law. And I still feel that in future course of gender justice, like I would like to read more on the life of sex workers, child sexual abuse, and so that this jurisprudence also could be from that could enlightening me. And again, one more thing I would like to add, which has added enlightened me in from that kind of morality, imposing immorality. Like the video have shown how this pornography, porn star kind of prejudicement has been set among us, and we used to create a picture without knowing or without means we start judging people, and we raise question based on our judgment. So that was also very means I will say it was really enlightening. So thank you, ma'am, for so many things. And even in future, I would like to have such kind of classes which could actually uh, give me a lot of thoughts and enlighten me, and so that I can also go in society and do justice.
Karthik? Karthik?
Ma'am, I think her phone has some issue.
Okay,
phone has some issue.
Anjali. We'll revert to him. Anjali?
Ma'am, so I've actually made a list of all the things I want to put in. So I'll start by the first class as the course proceeded. So I knew about gender and the basic distinction, but certainly I did not know about the third gender and how a lot of terms I did not know, and then you made it clear in the very first to second class about the third gender. And then we went for the movies, and that was a very, very learning session. I never saw any movie with that kind of perception. I knew that I had to note down points because I knew I had to discuss those points later on, and then you made us talk about it. And certainly we looked at the movie, the characters, the plot, and everything with a very different eye. Then
What
I
kind of difference was that?
so whenever I see a movie which has any case involved in it, I never point out the number of laws they talked about, the sections they talked about, what was the underlying idea, how the character was portrayed, and what were the circumstances that actually led to that, and what we actually benefited from that movie. What were the legal points the character used that we could use, and all sorts of things. And then you certainly taught us that patriarchy is not just theoretical. We actually suffer and we see it around us. We have seen it, we have lived in the system, and now it's finally time that we start to put our voices against it. So I noted these small things that were happening in my own household, that uh, I talked to my parents about, that this system, this is patriarchy. And certainly they thought they made fun, that they made jokes about it, that now that you're learning law and this gender subject, you can speak about it. And they were very happy that finally I could talk to them about all these things. And then one day when you were asking us which side we are on, so usually everybody took one side, but then I told you that the other side could think that, and you appreciated the fact that a good lawyer is a person who would think on both sides. So I guess as a lawyer I would always think about the two sides, for and against. And this is one thing that whenever I read any judgments, so I always make a point to read uh, the contentions very carefully, because I on the face of it I cannot decide which side am I on. It's not usually right or wrong. There's no right or wrong in a case. It depends on the lawyer how he portrays it. And the way we evaluated all the laws, I did not know that a justice or in discrimination would actually exist in maternity benefit laws or rape laws, or a matter of fact domestic violence. We always thought domestic violence was always related to women, but then third gender or the males would always also suffer the gender inequality and domestic violence. And finally, I would like to conclude that whenever earlier people used to talk to me about feminism, I could not get a lot of ideas. I could not explain them that feminism is not about hating men, but now I can actually come up with very strong points that feminism is not hating men. It's much more than that. So there are a lot of schools about feminism, the way they think, literal school, and radical thinkers and feminist jurisprudence. So a lot of it, I took a lot of things from this course, and I'd like to thank you for being such a great teacher. You never missed a day, and even the online classes, I just saw the schedule, and on 16th April you decided to complete the course, and you actually did it. So not just class, from a lot of things also I learned a lot of from you. So thank you, ma'am.
Vivek?
Thank you, ma'am. I attended the class little late, and my friend Karthik asked me to join it. I'm from LC2. I have not taken the course, but took it to understand the different perspective. It gave me a view about lot of laws which are related to women, how it works. I like the parameter that you presented in the class about those 4 factors: patriarchy, paternalism, same and difference. I still have differences again, and I'm trying to understand where to use what, because one is the opposite of the other. So sometime where there is no difference, we find that, and when there is need to be a sameness, we expect difference there. So I'm still confused about that. I thoroughly enjoyed the course. I got different perspective, but I want you to include part, and you have mentioned that earlier. So like in 498A cases, if you can put a case on Kohli versus Kohli, and in domestic violence, if you could put a view on Samar Ghosh versus Jaya Ghosh, it will be really well, because means sometimes the perspective, right, in the class, it looks like that, means we say that patriarchy is not about men privilege and all those things. It is about impacting everybody, but in all the cases it looked like that man is responsible for all the problems. So the course, I liked it the way, like, we had videos, we saw audios, we saw different types. So pedagogy wise it was really nice, but we want to have more views, different views in the class.
Shreya?
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. So, ma'am, since I belong to the other center, so I don't had the chance of attending all your classes. But whatever I did, I had some 2-3 incidences that I want to mention. The first incident I remember, when when we were having a discussion, you actually narrated one incident from your own family when you were younger with your siblings, about what an impact the parents or their conversation can have on the children, and so uh, probably that was the incident when I also started looking out that very minute and small things that we might have ignored, or we just think okay, this is how it should have been, yeah, this is how it should go. So but now, after that discussion probably, or analyzing the things from another point of view, I also got a chance to question some things that I was not able to question, or things that I believe uh, this is probably right, yeah, this is how it should be. So yeah, I developed a very different ideology, a very different point of view after that. And I also started questioning things that were um, that matlab, I was thinking it from another perspective also. So I would like to thank you for that. And also I really I attended the discussion when we were having on the Thappad trailers. So that whole discussion was very enriching. Was so listening to all the views, not just your but also the other students, as a as a discussion as a whole. So
I whatever I had in my mind about probably how things should be done, and then also inviting other point of views, like if you given another point of view about the thing, so I also learned that, and I also imbibe in me so these were the things that yes, this particular thing can be interpreted in this way also. So so yeah, that was, as a whole, if I say, it was a very different experience. So, and thank you for not just sticking to the age old methods of teaching, and giving us different uh, points and times to give us to video lectures and all that, and also giving us the opportunity to speak when we want to, and uh, accepting our views also. So not just not having that mentality in your mind ki just because you're the teacher you're always right, and also accepting our views some of the times. So I would really like to thank you for that, and I'm sure that I'm gonna, whatever lectures I was able to attend, I will certainly take a lot of things from here and this whole class. So thank you.
Jitendra,
Good afternoon.
Jitendra, your voice is not clear.
मैं एक मिनट ऊपर जाता हूँ सुन पा रही हूँ।
आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी।
मेरे को अभी अगेन
No, we cannot hear you. We'll return
Hello.
to हाँ हाँ जी बताएं.
हेलो मैम गुड आफ्टरनून मैम
Yeah, now it is good.
एज यू नो कि मैं मतलब डिफरेंट सेंटर से बिलोंग करता हूँ, तो मैं बहुत आपकी क्लास लेट में अटेंड कर पाया, बट जब मैंने आपकी क्लास अटेंड की तो उसके बाद ये पता चला कि लॉ में हाइपोथेटिकल भी सोचते हैं हम। फर्स्ट सेकंड थिंग, आपके बारे में बहुत नेगेटिव इमेज थी, जैसे बच्चों ने फर्स्ट ईयर में मुझे बताया था आप बहुत रूट हैं, स्ट्रिक्ट हैं और ब्ला ब्ला। मैंने सुना था, मैंने फर्स्ट क्लास अटेंड की, मैंने कहा ऐसा तो कुछ है नहीं, आप बहुत अच्छे टीचर हैं और लॉ पढ़ाते नहीं हैं, आप बताते हैं कि लॉ पढ़ना कैसे है और उसे आप खुद ही बताओ कि यूज कैसे करना है। जो मैंने फर्स्ट क्लास में फील किया, सेकंड क्लास व्हाट इज द जेंडर, मतलब जो एक सिलेबस में पढ़ा और मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता था, आपकी क्लास पढ़ने के बाद मुझे जेंडर ट्रांसजेंडर इनमें डिफरेंस के साथ साथ इनकी प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, इशू क्या है, फर्स्ट टाइम मैं मतलब अटैच हुआ, इवन न्यूज में भी देखने लगा, उससे पहले नहीं पढ़ता था। सेकंड कि केस डिस्कस हुए, मूवी, और लॉ को जजों ने कैसे मतलब केस में डिस्कस के टाइम कि लॉ जज ने इस लॉ को अनदेखा कैसे किया, मतलब टच कैसे नहीं हुआ और क्या क्या फॉल्ट है वो डिस्कस होते थे। डिस्कस होने के बाद आप टाइम के पंचुअल थे, मैं थोड़ा लेट आता था तो आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट। एंड उसके बाद रियली मुझे इस सेमेस्टर में और ये सब्जेक्ट ऑप्ट करने के बाद पता चला कि हाँ सोसाइटी में कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स हैं और उसकी उसकी प्रॉब्लम्स हम लोग खुद ही हैं, ना तो हमारे पास अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम है और ना हम बताते हैं कि इसके लिए लॉ है या राइट है। जैसे कुछ राइट्स हैं जो उनका मिसयूज हो जाता है, जैसे डाउरी और अदर, उनको भी बताया कि कैसे हम उन्हें मिसयूज नहीं होने दे सकते हैं और पता चला, और लॉ को कैसे रिलेट करना है। दैट्स माय पार्ट एंड थैंक यू सो मच।
Karthik,
Uh, I remember the class in which you taught about that there are some female workers who are working in the night, and how you as a professional, how you as an employer, as the parents of them, and neighbors and other will react if some incidents of sexual harassment or rape happens while they are returning. And the another perspective you gave in the same was that if they were not the employees, but they were doing for enjoying, would your perspective change? So that's the activity I remember today, and after that class I thought that now I need to attend all the classes of yours. So after that I attended all the classes. uh, One thing I liked was that it was means I was seeing that there is someone who is taking so much efforts using so many techniques to teach the students. Otherwise, generally what happens is that it's only about the completing the syllabus. But here there was something different. Another thing which I learned was about the transgender chapter. It was really nice to know more about them. And about other things, most of the things I thought the same way, or I was on the right track. But attending your classes accelerated myself. I thought I was able to expand my horizon on the same things. It's still, but when I think about the practical aspect of all this, still there are some questions which are left unanswered. Means I keep wondering myself how to implement all those things which we have learned in this class. Means learning in the classroom is one thing, but it's actually about implementing them in our world, in our digital world. And sometimes we don't know how to do that. Another thing is that I hope you take it as in a positive feedback. There are some things or sometimes which although there is everyone has his own perspective of thinking about the things, but there were some instances where I thought that maybe you were not thinking in the way it should have been thought. I understand that in the gender subject, and especially in the patriarchal world, almost all the things are against the woman. So we need to think about we need to think as a pro woman, but also at the same sometimes while thinking about pro woman, we were doing towards against men, and which is something I think we need to think upon. I believe that as feminists or as a students of gender, we not only need to think about more about women, how to make their situation, make their condition better, but we also need to think to take all the things together. We also need to think about all, although there are few numbers of men who are actually actually getting affected by this, but we also need to take in account all the men. We also need to take in account the transgender and all. So very very thank you, ma'am, and that's all.
Dhananjay?
Hello, ma'am. I'm from LC2. I was attended your first lecture last year in FDP, Faculty Development Program, and there you have discussed a case of Vishakha, and you have a different way of teaching. I see that you critique the judge. Judge have used a very what you say a very light word to describe a problem like rape. So I was interested to attend your lectures. This semester I took this gender justice subject, and I got to know about that you are teaching the subject in LC1. So after our classes got over, we waited for your lecture and attended your lecture, and it was a nice experience. We have learned a lot about gender issues, and your issue is the way of your teaching is amazing, ma'am. It changed many mental models. Thank you, ma'am.
I have a name called Anani. I do not know whether it's a real student name. Can you connect, Anani? Hello, Anani? Okay, I'm not getting any response from Anani. So thank you very much for all your feedback. And there's some points which we need to think about for the second semester. And what I want to do very quickly is to actually look at each one of the topics that we had. And I want you to identify it is one thing which you learned in that particular topic. So we'll go topic-wise. Our first topic was introduction. What is gender justice? Notions of sex and gender. Deconstructing man, woman, other. Private-public dichotomy. Women in ancient, medieval, and modern India, an overview. Current status of women. And then we looked at the whole range of indicators of status and gender justice in India, an overview. So can you point out one thing, anyone can point out one thing from this topic which you remember right now? Anyone?
Ma'am, that definitely would be the difference between sex and gender. You made it very clear, and also the the umbrella term we use, third gender or transgender, and then the different types of people which it covers. So I think that was the best giveaway from this topic, because I knew what gay people were, but then I did not know gay, who are the active and who like to, and the people who like to be hidden behind. So LGBT, I knew the full form, but then I did not know it contained LGBTQ plus and intersex. I knew these terms, but then the way you told us, it brought way more clarity.
I would re-emphasize one more thing, that most of us and quite a many of us knew that sex categorization is biological and gender is sociological.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
what is important to remember is also that the gender neutral terminology, the law is the gender neutral laws are actually not gender neutral.
Yes, ma'am.
The sex itself has a gender. So that was an important addition to the
I think the requirement of gender inclusive rather than gender neutral.
Yeah. And yeah, because traditionally we had thought, and usually we think that there are laws which are gender neutral, and then there are laws which are gender specific, favorable to women because of 15.3. But what we did emphasize on this one was also that gender neutral laws are not necessarily and usually not gender neutral. They seem to be gender neutral, but they're not in their conception, in their implementation, or in their impact on the people. So there is this the sex, the notion of sex itself is not gender neutral. The notion of sex itself is very, very gendered. So, okay, the second topic we had is patriarchy and feminist jurisprudence, understanding patriarchy, issues and contradictions in feminism, sameness and difference debate, liberal feminism, radical feminism, social Marxist feminist approaches. Anything which you thought was, which you still remember from this topic?
About the working women, that the women who work in homes are not considered to be as working women, while if they are professionals, then they are working women.
Yeah. So our understanding of the notion of who is a worker, who is, how do we define that itself, and how do we define work itself is questionable. Anything else?
I think yes, when we were discussing about patriarchy, the patriarchy is so inbuilt in us that we don't, like, it's now that we start to like realize it, start to question itself. So, and how it's just, even you even mentioned that even there are some men who are like willing to help, but the law itself stops them. Like, so for example, the maternity leave to a husband, so it's like it's very less. So even so, I think law is not only recognizing that aspect, that even males can, or the fathers can also help the that. So basically there should be a combined effort of brought up, like how a child is brought up and the process, and how I think women, it's so embedded that how women itself they become the agents of patriarchy. And I think now it's a very like recent incident. So there was a quarrel going on, and so I said something, I favored that woman. So my mom said that, why you question them? So I realized that I'm learning law, we are having discussions, we are having classes, and there's no point of learning and answering and questioning if I cannot take it in my real life or in my personal life. If I cannot question, if I cannot say to a man that you are talking very like in a very wrong sense to a woman, that there is no point of question. If we women cannot help the other, against the person who is like abusing the lady. So yeah, the prospect of how the change has to within us.
Yeah. Okay. So the third topic was international instruments and women rights. And we have a whole list: UDHR, ICCSR, ICCPR, UN Convention, CEDAW, UN Human Rights Council Resolution, Human Rights, Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and excerpts from Born Free. Anything important that you remember from here? Regarding CEDAW, anything? What has been CEDAW's contribution? Why did we need CEDAW? Anyone? Don't remember a thing?
Ma'am, to identify discrimination.
Okay.
And it can be of various types: direct, indirect, current, historic, cross-cutting, intersectionality, substantiative, formal, equality.
Ma'am, CEDAW was basically founded on three principles, like you taught us. So there's non-discrimination, then there is substantive equality and state obligation. So it's not just one person who is to work towards eliminating discrimination towards women and children, but then there are three cornerstones which have to work together. It's not just an individual's duty, but then the state is also obligated to work for the betterment of the position of women and children. And you also discussed in one of the classes that how we uh, how the state is signatory to these international treaties, but then the actual implementation is a far dream in certain areas. So I think not just being a signatory is not enough, but then the actual implementation process has to be done, and not just on the bigger level, but also on the levels beneath the bigger levels. Like we in ourselves would do that, so that it's easy for the state to work and implement all these things. It's not just an individual responsibility, it's a responsibility of every person who's involved in the society, and that makes all of us responsible.
Okay, so next topic is economic empowerment in law. And in this one, we looked at labor laws, gender protective laws, gender neutral laws, gender corrective laws, law protecting women against sexual harassment at workplace, and property rights of women. So any takeaway from there?
I think starting from when we discussed like the master role case, so like how the women they were doing equal work and they were not entitled to maternity relief, and how so a woman, even she, so you even mentioned that a woman who's working in home, she's not considered to be working. Though if we calculate the payment, the woman, a mother or a house, a homemaker, has to be, it's quite substantial amount. So she does a lot of work, but we don't recognize, because and we don't acknowledge the work, because we tend it to be normal that it's her duty, she has to do that certain type of work. So that, and the master role case about that how it was not like women doing the same work, but they were not considered and they were not given the maternity relief.
Nargis Mirza landmark case.
Right. Reproductive rights. IPC, MTPA, Maternity Benefit Act, NPC, and PNDT Act.
When we were discussing about it, you even mentioned, so a woman, she spends a considerable amount of time rearing the child. So then if some, and so that particularly in a career or the career prospects, or the career, the standard, she has substantial that amount of time in rearing the child, and brought like the child and child care. And so if we question that way, and a woman is considered to take care of the child, so when it comes to a career, so if that being so, that you're considered a mother to do certain things and she only has to do that, so will you then even when you even mentioned that, should we even extend the age of retirement of a woman then? And so that is questionable. And second, that we were discussing about the reproductive rights. So it's a female body, she has a right over her body. So like is the when to undergo abortion, so it's a woman, it's only a woman whose the consideration the doctor will take, and because it is her own body. But then I think so I thought, no, it would be okay that a woman only, she has her body will change, and she'll take the child. But I think you even mentioned that it's okay that it's a right on a body. But even if the father takes care of the child, so like is he financially stable to take care of the child? So in that prospect, that it's if is she going abortion, so the father's yes or no is important or not.
Ma'am, also when we talk about PC and PNDT Act, there's one of the biggest myth busters I think we got, who is that only the people of the lower strata would consider aborting on a sex basis. But then we also looked at a lot of reports which said that most number of cases that were reported were in the posh colonies of Delhi, like Hauz Khas or defense colony. So I think it's time that we just let go of the thinking that only people who are uneducated and illiterate would go for abortions, but it's actually the class who's very much educated and literate and has a lot of power and ways to do so. They definitely would go for it. So I think that was one of the thing that I thought from this unit was important. And also when we talked about medical termination of pregnancy, so I think the law is changing, it's dynamic. I appreciate that the lawmakers are doing it, because now unmarried woman can also abort her child if she does not want that pregnancy to continue. But I think we also need to think about the third gender, the single parents, and uh, other people when we think about reproductive rights, because it's not just a man and woman who would want to have a child, but a single parent or a third gender person or same-sex relationship people would definitely want uh, a child in their life. So
Okay, domestic violence, in which we looked at Protection of Women Against Domestic Violence Act, dowry prevention, and sati. Any important takeaways?
Ma'am, so the earlier notion of domestic violence was only related to physical violence, that if the in-laws or the husband would beat the wife. But then after reading this specific law, I learned that it's not just physical, but it's emotional, mental, economic, and verbal violence that counts. So the other day you pointed out that a female did not want to be called a woman with cat eyes. So I think in our minds we just have this notion that violence will only be perpetuated via physical means, but then we actually let go, or we don't think that it contains or it covers a vast amount of things that we cannot even imagine. So I think domestic violence in itself is contains a lot more of things that we actually ignore or we decide not to take care of in our normal lives, but then that should not be. And also when we talk about commission of sati, so I learned about the chunri ceremony. I tried to find out what chunri ceremony was, but I couldn't find it. But I really want to know what that was and how a female would be asked to burn herself with her husband. And also I read it that a female who was pregnant or who had children was not asked to commit this sati pratha. So I went to Udaipur and I saw this area where the Rajput females burned themselves. So the history I could actually, back then I could not understand the implications on the society, but now that I think of it, I think it was very much prevalent at that time, and I think it still does. In fact, in spite of the fact that it's been prohibited, it's been completely banished.
Yeah, I somehow skipped the two topics. Two other. One is the LGBTQ, H++ and human rights. Any important takeaway?
Ma'am, an important insight that we got
Only
was
Chavi and Anjali are responding. What's happening to the rest of the class? Very quickly, we have gone overshot our our time by 4 minutes. Very quickly, want to wrap up. Anyone else? On LGBTQH++ and human rights? Yes, Mamal.
Ma'am, I finally understood like the idea of queer group was never clear to me, and because if you go by the dictionary meaning of the word, it means odd, and I never really understood why a certain um, community of people would like to be known as queer. But then it just means that these people are gender fluid and are not constrained by any particular they are not trans or not men or women. So they relate themselves to this concept of gender fluidity, which was really nice. And I also told a few people about it later on once it was clear to me. So yeah.
Okay, and the last topic, which I had earlier skipped, is sexuality and morality in law. Any thoughts, any takeaway?
Ma'am, I think the way in your article, gender analysis of IPC, we learned that we just read IPC. We don't read it with the gender perspective, but then this article was way more insightful, and we actually learned that the kind of things that IPC talks about and how they are gender neutral or gender biased. And then in especially in rape laws, so there was this clause where the um, previous sexual behavior of the victim would be very important for the lawyer, because then he could
Anjali, we lost your voice.
changed. And ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
So previously the the sexual behavior or the history of the victim mattered, but now it does not. And I also think that the rape laws do not actually cover the third gender. because we have this notion that third gender would not suffer from such things, but then the actual reality is much more horrifying than we think it is. And from the from the incident that Ray mentioned in class, where he was not allowed to use the washrooms, and nobody decided to uh, check
She.
him with the nobody decided to check her with the metal detector. So I think the laws should be much more sensitive for them, and it's just after she discussed it that I thought about it, how difficult it was for her and people like her who faced it on a very day-to-day basis. So
We have a student, Deepak Tiwari, who hasn't spoken. You want to say something about your learning from the course? Deepak Tiwari? Okay, this person is not coming back on audio. So thank you very much. It has been an interesting session for me. I learned very different perspectives from you, and lots of occasions when I had to reflect back on my own positions on certain things. So I think it has been a learning experience as much for me as you have pointed out for yourself. And especially Vivek has been challenging us in many ways with his own perspective about violence on the men and how they are completely an ignored group of people. And certainly we need to do a lot more work on construction of masculinity. And I do hope that what you learned in this course will be a way of looking at law, generally speaking. And as we started saying that we were looking at the law in this course from the gender lens, but that's not the only lens. The why we picked up gender is certainly because this is the largest quote unquote minority which suffers. But there are many more minorities, and every minority has a tale to tell, and an ousting tale that where they are not given the same opportunities. The same critical perspectives can help us look at the law from the perspective of religious minority, economic minority, the us and them categorization. The us and them categorization exists in many, many ways. And once we start recognizing that there is this other in the law, the one which applies to us and the other in the law, that how that the other receives or is treated by the law is an important learning for lawyers. And I certainly think that as lawyers, we have a social responsibility as well. And unless we can look at the reason why we have the law and start using the law for that perspective, law will continue to be used for harassing rather than empowerment. With these thoughts, shall we call it a day and semester?
yes, ma'am.
And wish you the best. And I'll be writing to you as and when we hear about your exams.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Ma'am,
much.
there is a one request that please upload these videos on YouTube, because some of the sessions I did not attend actually.
Shani, all the videos are already there on the YouTube. Only this week video are not there, which I will be doing before the weekend. And I'll be sending the full list also to the PIC, because I think they're putting up a list and link on the LC1 website as well. So I'll send that the full list also to her, and you can access. But everything is on the YouTube already, excepting this week.
Okay, ma'am. And
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank
very
you,
much.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Aisha, thank you for everyone's contribution in this course. Good day.
Thank you.